Where it gets more complicated, it seems to me, is the whole tariff campaign that he's running, of the mind that he doesn't mind a bit of short-term financial pain because he believes ultimately there will be a lot of gain coming from America bringing manufacturing back to the United States.
When you start to inflict pain on someone, when you start to cause people to have to pay up, they get motivated. Will these tariffs stand for very long? I don't know. Will people start paying their fair share? If it starts costing them the opportunity to sustain their livelihood in their countries, then yeah, I think it brings about change.
In this video, Dr. Phil goes full MAGA defending Trump's unhinged tariff plan, and things just get weird real quick. Dr. Phil just basically turns into Trump's hype man, defending a tariff strategy that most economists have shredded as reckless. Instead of pushing back, Piers Morgan just nods along like Trump's floating the next great economic revolution. This isn't some debate over minor policy tweaks. This is full-on MAGA justification for a plan that could jack up inflation, wreck supply chains, and hurt the very Americans they pretend to protect. And somehow both of them act like it's bold leadership? So make sure to watch till the end to see how Dr. Phil goes full MAGA defending Trump's unhinged tariff plan.
And are these tariffs meant to be permanent and stay in place long enough to shift a lot of manufacturing back to the U.S. or just balance out trade? I don't know, but when you cause people to start losing business, they're going to start making changes. Look at what motivates people, and I think he's motivating people. Whether he's doing it to bring about change long-term or short-term, I don't know. We'll see. But he is, sometimes you have to shake it up to break it up, and he is shaking it up right now, and I think that's going to break up a lot of these patterns.
There's no question of that. Also, no question that Trump, he doesn't behave like a normal politician. In fact, he doesn't even behave like a normal conventional Republican or anything. He can be all things to all people when it suits him. In a way, it's very refreshing. I think it unnerves people because he just doesn't behave in a predictable manner. But do you think that America needs a bit of unpredictability, that perhaps he's right to pursue this path?
Well, look, a lot of what's been going on hasn't been working. Look, we're $37 trillion in debt and continuing to spend like a drunken sailor on shore leave. Look, this doesn't work long term. And I've got grandchildren, and they're going to pick up the tab for all of this. So somebody needs to step up and say, wait a minute. This isn't working. Culturally, this isn't working. I mean, it's all well and good now. And listen, this isn't a Republican or Democrat thing. This is an American thing. You can't just print money when you need it. People, I think, sometimes don't realize what's happening. If you've got $100,000 saved up after a lifetime of working, and then somebody comes along and prints $1 billion more, your 100,000 just shrunk up. What your buying power for that just got a whole lot less. Somebody needs to come in and shake up this system. It just doesn't work.
So this is where Dr. Phil just starts acting like tariffs are therapy. He says people losing business is motivating and you have to shake it up to break it up. Like, come on, this isn't a Dr. Seuss policy plan. It's real people's livelihoods on the line. Then Piers jumps in with a classic Trump praise, saying it's refreshing that he's unpredictable. No, it's not. It's just chaotic. And Phil's rant about debt and money printing, it's just wild. He skips right past the fact that Trump added nearly $8 trillion to the national debt and just screams somebody needs to shake it up, as if chaos is automatically a fix.
And I've been appalled. We've got this Doge system right now, and is it a perfect system? Of course not. But everybody for decades and decades have said we have got to cut out the waste, fraud, and abuse in government. Now somebody's doing it with intentionality, and people are whining about it. They're out burning Teslas. They're throwing bricks through Tesla dealership windows. Grow up. Come on. That's not activism. That's vandalism. Those people should be put in jail. And is it perfect? No, they're wiping out some programs they shouldn't. And when they hit one they shouldn't, they should put it back immediately. But we need to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in government. Who disagrees with that? That's ridiculous.
You know, Phil, it's interesting. I've seen a pattern where you turned up at his Madison Square Garden rally just before he won the election, and you got hammered for it. You see Musk getting hammered because he switched sides to support Trump. You see Bill Maher, who's been very critical of Trump, now saying he's going to have dinner with him in the White House. He gets hammered. We've lost something's gone wrong, I think, in a democratic society where people cannot respect an individual's right to support a party they want, to support a leader they want to, or just to change their mind if they want to. What's happening there?
I think it's the tyranny of the fringe, Piers. I think you've got people out there that say, look, we want to be inclusive. You know, we want to have everybody free speech, everybody have the right to do what they want to do, as long as you agree with us. And when you don't, then we're going to come after you hammer and tong and criticize you and call you names and all of that sort of thing. And that's what you mean by hammered. Well, just keep hammering me. I don't care, because you're not going to get me to stop saying what I think, feel, and believe because a bunch of people want to whine about it. I don't care. Go ahead. Cancel me, hammer me. I don't care. I'm going to say what I think, feel, and believe. And if people want to get on the internet and whine about it, then go ahead. Because there's just as many people on the other side that think, hey, it's a good thing that you're speaking out and saying what you need to say.
So now Dr. Phil goes from economic guru to full-on anti-woke warrior. He starts venting about people vandalizing Tesla dealerships, as if that somehow proves Trump's critics don't care about policy. And look, obviously no one's defending vandalism, but using fringe behavior to frame legitimate pushback as just whining kinda misses the point here. And then he drops the usual waste, fraud, and abuse line like it's brand new, ignoring the fact that every politician in history has said the same thing, until they're in power, that is. And Piers just picks up the same vibe, shifting the conversation into full grievance mode. He name drops Musk and Bill Maher and makes it sound like people just can't tolerate anyone supporting Trump. But maybe folks are reacting because these figures flip-flop and throw support behind someone whose policies directly affect them. Not because they changed their mind, but because of what that support actually means.
I think that there is a lot of people right now in America that are sick of being bullied, sick of being muzzled, sick of not having the freedom to say what they really think and feel. And I think that pendulum's swinging back the other way. And I think we need to have the courage to step up and say what we think. I did show up at Madison Square Garden, and if you heard what I said, I meant what I said. I said, I'm not here necessarily to endorse Donald Trump, and I don't agree with everything he says or does, but I don't like people being bullied because they vote for him or stand up for him. And I said, and I'll go say the same thing at a Harris rally. We need to be able to say what we think, feel, and believe, and not be bullied for it.
Also, not to be scolded. It seems like the left, the progressive left in particular, the last few years have delighted in scolding people. They want to get enraged about a joke you tell, or a book you read, or a movie that you like, if it doesn't suit their progressive, so-called progressive agenda. Constantly lecturing and hectoring people. And I think that backlash has been quite furious, leading to Trump winning, him talking about the core of common sense at the heart of what he was talking about. And I do think that common sense has begun to replace wokeism as the preferred way that most Americans want to go. They just don't want to be scolded or lectured or hectored anymore. They want to be able to make decisions for themselves and be respected for those decisions.
And this is where it just all turns into a pity party. Dr. Phil just keeps talking like he's under attack for simply showing up to a Trump rally, like that's some revolutionary act. And Piers, man, he just tries to turn basic public pushback into some grand assault by the progressive left, and then suddenly, people not liking a joke or disagreeing with a book is proof that wokeism has taken over? Nah, at this point, it's not about free speech. It's about framing all criticism as censorship. and no one's silencing them to their biases to all these situations that's gotta be handled more seriously. And speaking of bias, are you getting tired of getting news from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite? How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, whether it's left, right, or center, are covering the same story, so you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get a 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights in media bias and political trends. So stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.